Hi, Melanie here, and today I'm showing you how to make one of my balloon gnome designs. This one's a little bit different. He's a little bit cheeky. He's very eye-catching. And yes, he's beach body ready and wearing a mankini. I'm going to fully inflate two 5-inch balloons to 5 inches in diameter. And if you've got the same balloon hand pump as I have, that's 5 strokes of the hand pump, 5 full strokes. So I'll count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then remove your balloon from the hand pump straight away. Put a twist in the neck. If you don't remove your balloon from the hand pump straight away and you've got a pump like mine, the balloon will start to deflate whilst it is still on the hand pump. Okay, so cross the necks over one another, wrap around once, twice, and tie together. And if you struggle to inflate 2 balloons together at the same time like this and then tie them together, just inflate them singly and then tie them together. I've inflated another pair of 5-inch balloons, also to 5 inches in diameter, and I'm going to connect these 2 pairs together at the centre, and then I'm just going to flip that balloon over the top of this brown balloon, and that's just going to connect those together into a quad. I've inflated another pair of 5-inch balloons, this time to 4.5 inches. So for me, that's 4 strokes of my hand pump, and another pair of balloons, again 5-inch balloons. This time I've inflated these to 3.5 inches. So 2 strokes of my hand pump, and again I'm just going to connect these 2 together at the centre, like so. And then I'm going to connect the 2 clusters together. So in your base layer, just pull out one of the necks and place your other cluster on top, pull one of the necks upwards, and then just wrap that neck around those balloons. And if you've watched any of my other videos and I talk about wrapping around in a figure of 8 motion, this is what I'm talking about, this figure of 8ing round the balloons. Okay, so that's what you've got. I've made a small water weight, and if you want to know how to make water weights, I'll leave a link in the description to my video. And I'm just going to pull the inner neck into the base, through into that upper cluster, and then just wrap that neck around, okay, in that figure of 8 motion. I've inflated my next 4 clusters to 4.5 inches in diameter, and for me that's 4 strokes of my balloon hand pump. I'm adding my next cluster in the same way, so I have located one of the necks in the lower cluster. Place your cluster on the top, pull the neck through, and just wrap that around. And it's really important when you're building your clusters that the clusters sit between 2 balloons in the lower layer. So as you move this stack around, you'll see that each time the balloon sits in between 2 balloons in the lower layer, and that's really important for ensuring that your gnome's body is properly structured. So my next cluster, and I'm positioning the ivory coloured balloon above one of the red balloons, okay, and then wrapping the neck around a few times to secure the clusters together. And the next cluster goes on in exactly the same way, and you will find that once you've got the hang of putting the clusters together, this design goes together extremely quickly indeed. And we can now start to add the clusters for our gnome's hat. I've inflated this cluster to 4 inches in diameter, so that's 3 strokes of my hand pump. And I'm just adding that to the top, and this is going to start shaping the gnome's hat. This cluster I've inflated to 3.5 inches. So that's just 2 strokes of my hand pump. And my last cluster, I've inflated with just 1 stroke of my hand pump. So just wrap that in. To finish off the hat, I'm inflating one of my 5-inch balloons just with 1 stroke of the hand pump and tying that. Okay, and you may just need to stretch the latex out just to bring out the shine. And then I'm just going to place this on the top. I'm pulling it through the balloons in that upper cluster, and then I'm pulling it through into the cluster below, and then I'm just going to bring that neck back up and wrap around to secure that. I've inflated a 5-inch balloon to 3.5 inches, so 2 strokes of the hand pump, and I'm going to position this balloon here, so just above one of the red balloons and in between one of the 2 ivory balloons. So I'm just going to pull that neck in to the display here, wrap it around one of the balloons, bring it back forward, and then wrap the neck around the nose several times and just let go. I've inflated a 260 twisting balloon to a tail of a couple of fingers, and starting at the knot end, I'm just going to make a small loop. So just fold your balloon over, measure maybe 3 fingers, and then twist. Okay, and you can poke your finger through the centre of that loop, past that knot and nozzle through the centre. That's just going to help ensure that doesn't come undone. We're going to repeat this, fold the balloon over and twist. So you've got 2 loops now, and we're going to make 1 more loop. So just fold your balloon over, squeeze it together here and twist. And then we can just wrap those loops around one another. Position this cluster of loops just below the bottom layer of blue balloons, and position your clusters of loops at the back of the gnome's body, and then just pinch hold of the tip of your blue balloon and pull the tip into that cluster of loops. So just wrap that tip around several times. Okay. This is quite a good learning point. I've actually positioned my nose in the wrong place. So the nose should be above this white balloon here. So what I'm just going to do, I'm just going to spin everything around. So if you do find that you've put something in the wrong place, as I have done, then you can just move everything around very easily. And there we go. Let me just line everything up. There we go, fixed. To make my gnome's arms, I'm using a 350 twisting balloon. If you don't have a 350, use a 260 instead. And I've inflated with just 3 strokes of the hand pump. So that's a bubble of about 6 to 7 inches, about 6 inches. And tie. And then we can make a twist, just twist the other end and snip off the tip. And then we can tie that in a knot at the other end. Okay, so these are very simple arms to make. Next, inflate a 5-inch balloon to 3 inches in diameter. So for me, 1 stroke of the hand pump and tie. Okay, so we're going to split this balloon, and we're going to split it around the middle. So with the knot and nozzle poking out at the front here, grab hold of the balloon and squish it down and make a twist, and just twist that around. Okay, so you've got a large bubble here of about 4 fingers and a smaller bubble here of about 3 fingers. Okay, so just grasp hold of that twist that you've made, and then take hold of this knot here, grab hold of the knot and fold it over, fold this bubble over and pull that knot into the twist that you've just made, and then pull this bubble upwards and just twist that around. Twist 4 or 5 times, maybe a little more. Okay, so what you've made is a hand and a thumb. We can take the nozzle from our arm and just wrap that into the split there. Okay, and we've got this stretchy bit here at this end. So take your 2 arms and tie them together here. So make sure that knot is secure. Okay. There you go. Pull the arms into your gnome's body just below the layer with the hair here. Just pull those in. Okay. So my arms are a little bit loose here, so I'm just going to take up the slack by wrapping that around one of the balloons in the back here. So this is how the arms are at the back, and I want to pull the arms into the gnome's body at about this point. So take a twisting balloon, a 160 or a 260, and just wrap the end into the hand, and then pull the hand and the arm across the gnome's body into the other side, and then just wrap around once or twice. And then I can take a look at this side. I want to do the same thing on this side. So I'm just going to wrap that around a couple of times. And take a look. Okay, I'm happy with that. You may wish to keep this bit of twisting balloon here if you're going to have your gnome holding something. I'll leave it there for the moment. It may be useful. If it's not useful, then I'll just trim it off at the end, okay? I've inflated 2 red 260 twisting balloons, each to a tail of about 4 fingers. And I'm going to tie these 2 balloons together. Okay, and then just give your balloons a squeeze and a stretch. That's just going to help soften and lengthen the balloons. Okay, and then we're going to pull this section here into this red balloon here, just underneath the red balloon. Okay, then bring the 260s over your gnome's shoulders and into the back. So, okay, so you're bringing that down here, and then at about this point, so you've got these coming over your gnome's shoulders, and then it's about this point here, twist these 2 balloons together. Okay, and then we can pass one through the other. That's just going to connect them together, and then I'm just going to snip off the end of each balloon and let the air out. And then I can tie these 2 balloons together, and I'm going to tie twice. So using these 2 tails here, just pull the 2 tails into your sculpture just above the red balloon. And then wrap each end into the body. And then we can just adjust these loops and bring them over the shoulders And then just pull these loops into the shoulders. You can pull the shoulder out slightly, and that's just going to hold the straps of the mankini in position. If you find that one loop is slightly longer than the other loop and it's pulling off, what you can do is just pull that over, and at the back here, just cross over the other loop here, the other strap. I don't think I'm going to need this attachment point, so I'm just going to cut that away. Here's where we can have a lot of fun customizing this design just by adding a few extra elements. And if this sculpture is a gift for somebody, then it's a great way to just add a few personal touches and elements that are going to be particular to that individual. So for my gnome, I'm going to add some swimming bands, swimming aids, flotation aids, whatever you call them in your area. So I've inflated a 260 twisting balloon, and I've just looped that through the arm, and I'm just going to wrap the 260 in here. I've got hold of the knot and nozzle here, and I'm just going to pull that knot and nozzle into the 260 and then pass that through, just wrap that around. We can break this off or cut it off and then just tie. And I'm going to tie 2 knots. And then I'm just going to trim away the messy bits, okay? And then just twist this around to hide the knots and nozzles there. So I have made that quite loose. I can get a couple of fingers underneath here. I have made this design in the past where I've made the swimming, the armband much smaller, and it's been less noticeable. So I deliberately now make that quite a bit bigger. For my gnome's sunglasses, I'm inflating a 260 with just one stroke of the hand pump, and then tying a knot. Okay, and then I'm just going to grasp hold of that knot, fold that bubble over, measure a bubble of between 3 and 4 fingers, and then I'm just going to make a twist. Okay, so I've made a loop, and then I'm going to just poke my finger through the center of that loop, pass the knot and nozzle through the center, and then I can just snip off the end here, let out the air and tie that in a knot. I've just caught the nozzle in the knot, and I'm going to tie that a second time just to be on the safe side. Okay, and then I can trim away this long bit of excess here. Okay, so that's what you've got, and make another one of these, and then take the excess here and just pull that into the sculpture just beneath the brim of the hat. Okay, position it next to the nose, and then just take the excess and then just wrap that into one of the balloons at the back or at the side. Okay, and then you can just let that go. And do the same thing on the other side. I've got a 260 twisting balloon, and I'm just going to put the tiniest amount of air into this balloon using my pocket pump. Okay, so I can just feel that inflate, remove the pump straight away and tie. So we just want the tiniest amount of air in there. I'll make 2 more of these. So this is going to go over the bridge of the nose, and one of these you need to make quite a bit smaller. So I'm actually going to reduce the length of this just by tying another knot and cutting that away. Okay, so that's considerably smaller than the others. I've got a couple of glue dots, and I'm just going to position those in line with one another, and then I just want to carefully position this over the bridge of the nose, push the ends into the back underneath this part of the glasses. I've positioned glue dots here and here, and I'm going to take the knotted end of my 260 and just push that into the back of the gnome's head, and then I'm going to bring the end round here, secure the end to the glue dot, and then secure the other section here, and then you can just move that back into position and do the same thing on the other side.